Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to another second nature episode. I do say again, but it has been quite a while now, but we are back full time, mostly over the next Sundays. We will be giving the latest scoops and updates around the Rings of Power Season 2. And joining me on that journey for most of it will be Strider. Hello, my friend.
Hello there. I love Second Age show. First thing with my Fellowship of Fans career. So always an absolute pleasure to be here and discussing new, hopefully lore stuff.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, you've been here since near the beginning as well, so that's good. And also, as usual, we have Hen. Hello there.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Great to have you on. Great to have you on. And for this new episode where we have mentioned that is one of the biggest ones. We of course have to have a guest that rivals that. So we have Matt from Lord of the Rings. Hello, my friend.
Hey, always nice to chat with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. Great to have you on. So essentially, as we've said, this is one of the biggest scoops we've had so far, and it has been. It seems like we've presented it as it being potentially character or something like a character from the Lord of the Rings and Hobbits books or movies, either one. So I think, yeah, without further ado, unless you guys are ready, should we just get right into it?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Good. Okay, so young Shelob is a character in the Rings of Power Season 2. So that is the latest news. We have a young Shelob character, which is featured in The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2, but with a small role. So we know the role isn't extensive. She's in it for a lot of episodes. We know it's a limited role, but Shelob, well, we should say young Shelob, is is basically featured in the show. And I know I keep saying, I know we can see when we had young Galadriel and stuff like that, but the character is basically named Young Shelob. So that is how currently Amazon are viewing that. So yes, Shelob will be in season 2. We are getting the return of her to Middle Earth on this big screen. Well, not big screen, small screen, but with this budget, is basically his big screen. So yes, that is the news. So Matt, I can see you smiling already. I know you must have a lot of different thoughts about this, so I'll let you take it away first.
Oh, I get to go first. Wow. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting. I think it's probably a wise decision to have it be, kind of a smaller role for a character like this that's a scary character that's meant to, be scary and daunting and like this almost from a horror movie, the way it's depicted in the trilogy. So yeah, if we saw too much of her, then I think that could lessen that impact.
Yes.
But it could be kind of cool because we know that Shelob dwelt in the borders of Mordor for a long time, and there were these rumors and stuff, like Faramir hints that they know there's something there, and
Dark terror.
yeah, this dark terror, and that many elves and men went to their deaths, not to mention orcs, but in Cirith Ungol. So yeah, it could be cool. My immediate thought was, I wonder if Isildur making his way out of Mordor, because that's where he is now. So that was my first initial thought, was maybe he'll catch a glimpse, enough to pass on the legend, so that over 3,000 years later, the men of Gondor will still know about some mysterious dark terror. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of interesting options or paths that they can take with Shelob. It's interesting that they describe her as young Shelob because, I mean, I guess it's like if we compare it to her age in during the War of the Ring, it's like this is like she's halfway there because she was spawned by Ungoliant, so and that happened like some 3,000 plus, between 3,000 and 4,000 years ago, I guess. At this point, so
yeah,
No,
it's
I'm
kind
not
of
sure.
it's kind of
We
murky
don't
what
know.
year.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
kind of hint that it's 1,000 years into the Second Age. They kind of hint that in season one.
The show itself. Yeah,
the
I
show
guess
itself.
Show, okay.
But
Yeah.
also the point in which Shelob was spawned, like
Right.
Ungoliant.
it's not
career is
we
very
cannot be sure,
murky.
but yeah, like Ungoliant arrived to Middle Earth just before the First Age started, basically.
Yeah,
Right,
and then she runs
when
off.
the sun rises. So
and then she runs
it was
off,
like
and we don't
recently, and
know.
then she runs off and spawns her. So it's like interesting that they are describing her as young Shelob, not just Shelob. So I wonder if that's just somebody felt like appropriate to name it like that, or are they actually maybe planning to do something more with her? And also, it's going to be interesting to see if she will speak, because apparently, I mean, Ungoliant was able to communicate, like she wasn't a mindless
the
beast.
Milkwood spiders speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Right. So that's going to be interesting how and with whom she will interact, because I guess Sauron or Isildur are probably the two likeliest choices.
Yeah.
I guess of the main characters.
As long as she doesn't take human form and is like Sauron's ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
And I also appreciate them leaving the cat thing off the table. Sauron is like there's this like gloss in the Two Towers. Oh, Sauron calls Shelob his cat.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he's right.
His pet, yeah.
Please no.
His pet, yeah.
It seems like as of right now, there's more reason or evidence to have maybe potentially, Halbrand encounter Shelob, but then also
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, as Matt mentioned, Isildur's also there, so it's like, and if he's trying to get out, and probably presumably would be leaving, and then towards the borders of Mordor to get out, then maybe he encounters Shelob on the way. And for me, again, to reiterate, it is basically, it's not a big role. Like Shelob's going to be like 7-8 episodes, like go around making plot. I don't think it's going to plot. I think for me, how I understand it, I think it's going to be a thing where we see her for a bit, and it's going to be like something that makes us make this. I think it's more like world building. Like, we see her there, we know she's in this world. We won't get too much for her in this season. Maybe like 2 seasons down again, we might see her again, or might see all the seasons. Might be if it is between Halbrand and it was between Sauron and Shelob. It's just that we'll see the original building blocks of the relationship. They will relationship. I have to be careful there. That they will end up having. So yeah, that's how I view it. So I hope it'll be something more than just a cameo, but I wouldn't rule that out if it's just Silver walking across. Then you just get I
think so.
Yeah, you hear like the steps, and
I think like the Ents in season 1. Oh look,
the
Ents. Bye.
We've got Ents. But interesting thing is though, Shelob is specifically named. We know that for a fact. So it's not like
that's true.
It's not like Spider XYZ. It's like it's an actual it's specifically meant to be Shelob. But I think the next thing I want to raise now is, of course, we saw Shelob in the movies. Of course, she's in the books as well when it got made to the big screen. So, but then of course, do you think with this young Shelob thing, just like kind of Galadriel, do you think that because we don't know how the design's going to look like compared, because the Elven rings are different, but the Balrog, even though it's technically different, looks a lot the same, and of course, Narsil.
Even Narsil is not really the same. I looked very closely.
Look closely, even the swords and the statues in Numenor look quite similar to Narsil as well. So it's how do you think they will go with the design of and how she looks? I think, Ken, do you want to start off?
That's an interesting question. I actually think that after season 1 landed, they might be a bit more confident in doing, because the only design that we saw that was really different was the rings, and that was what 3 shots before the end of the season.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing they're like, okay, we got this down. People are, we have like season 1 out of the gate. A lot of people watched it. We can do our own thing from this point on. I did think early on we spoke about, oh well, the show might be a success, and then they'll get, licensing for designs that they didn't have before. But I remember, I think Warner's, now that they're going on their own path developing motion pictures, they said that they want to, this is not an exact quote because I can't remember, but they want to stop Amazon blurring the line between the two, properties, so they're not going to get, permission to use anything, I don't think. And so they might it might be vaguely similar. It might not be. I don't know.
And Matt, what would you prefer out of the options Hannah said? Be like a new
Yeah.
design of Shelob, or like something that toes the line or just looks nearly exactly the same?
I mean, I don't know if I have a strong preference. It's not as iconic as the moment is between Shelob and Sam. I don't think like the design necessarily is like one of those make or break things.
Yeah.
And you're still adapting from the same source material, so it's not going to be crazy different, I don't think. And I actually I kind of understand like the that was where my mind went to as well, was the fact that Warner Brothers is going to be doing their own films. I could totally understand them not wanting to blur those lines, in people's minds, because obviously people like us are going to know what's a Warner Brothers production, what's an Amazon production, because we keep track of this stuff like crazy. But for more casual fans, I could see where you don't want to necessarily blend those lines too much to where you confuse fans and think that it's all coming from the same source. You want to hopefully it's a healthy competition between them, and doesn't turn nasty or anything, but it is, there's definitely going to be some level of competition, which can be really good to see who can do the best Middle Earth adaptations. And so Warner Brothers has these iconic films that they've already established a look for, so I could understand them wanting to keep that look to themselves. But like I said, you're adapting from the same source material, so I don't think they're gonna do like some crazy extreme thing. I said it in jest earlier, but like making Shelob like transform into a lady and then back to a spider, like from the games, which are really fun games. I rag on the lore, but the games are super fun. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna see something like crazy different.
I guess,
but yeah, I'm
physicality.
When we get to the
guessing
judgment
she's
of it,
going
I
to-
do prefer it to be different though, because when it gets too like the same but not actually the same, it's like neither fish nor fowl, because it's not different enough for people who want a fresh thing, and it's not the same enough for people who just want a prequel, so it's kind of stuck in the middle. So I prefer it feels more like less disingenuous if it's not trying to fool you into thinking that it's another movie.
That's a good thought.
We can, of course, that's just a wider ranging discussion around the show as well. But I think physically wise, I'm guessing Shelob would be a bit smaller as well. I think that would make sense.
Young.
Young. It is interesting just having that framed as young Shelob, but I think moving back.
It is like what 3,000 years before. Everybody, strictly speaking, is young.
Everybody's younger. Yeah. We should just add to the end of all these titles. Younger Shelob.
And I think, Strider, we've talked about how maybe we might be seeing the original Sauron meeting, but What do you think story-wise? Well, like, what would be the benefits of having potentially, let's say, if Isildur met, or maybe Adar might be the one who met. We still don't know.
Oh,
Meet
that's
Shelob.
also possible.
But yeah, we'll get to Adar first. But what do you think? Are there any benefits? Is there any reasons why Isildur should like? Does it like foreshadow anything? I'm not sure. I'm just thinking on the spot. Do you see anything?
I don't think we would benefit much from. I think if there's, so I don't think we would benefit from Isildur meeting her. I just don't see that unless there's like some, the word we tend to use, convoluted way of convoluted reason of why that would be a beneficial thing to do. I think if there's one beneficial encounter, that's Sauron.
I think so too. Actually, that was my thinking.
Yeah, Adar is probably not going to stick around until the War of the Rings. We don't care about that. Like in that sense, we don't care about his relationship with Shelob. Isildur, nothing to do with her at all in any way. So I don't know. I think it might be interesting to see. I guess it might be interesting to see her making her lair at the pass of what will be known as Kiritongol. So I think that's an option, but I agree with what Matt said at the beginning. Like, I really do not want the mystery to be taken away.
Yes,
which is always a huge problem with prequels when they just go into explaining every single thing. And I hope that the show does not go there. I hope she doesn't have a huge role. I hope she's more there as like perhaps like a very cool, maybe a cameo that kind of happens a few times perhaps or something like that, but not really doing stuff because I think we're already short with time to cover everything else properly. So for that reason and for the reason of taking away the mystery, I hope that it's not too much and it's just Sauron.
So if Adar is not long for this world, in theory, which is kind of my thinking that, you know, especially like they recast and everything, like I think he's probably going to meet his end decently early, maybe in season 2. What if it's a situation where Sauron actually, like, you know, captures Adar or something and throws him into Cirith Ungol, and that's how we kill off that character, is by, you know, we get the Shelob cameo and she's the one who takes out Adar.
Or maybe it's
I don't think
like
that's
how it's
that would be interesting.
Where of course Gollum leads Frodo and Sam to the ultimate demise.
Oh,
maybe
that would be
Halbrand.
terrible.
Well, I just thought that would go back then. Halbrand.
It's possible, but it would be terrible.
I think it would be a cool idea. It would show us the merciless part of Sauron's character. I think that would be a very kind of badass way for Adar to die. Like fighting Shelob.
I don't think he will actually.
I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be cool because I love Adar. He is one of the best things that ever happened to this show, for me at least. And I think it would be cool that if that's the way he ends up dying. But because I also think he's going to fight the dust sooner rather than later. But I think it's likelier that he will be, you know, killed in like single combat or something by one of the main guys. Of course, but it's definitely like. That would be a cool way to see a Shelob, to have her just show up, do something huge, but then just go away. I think that would be a really good scenario.
I can actually see like Sauron throwing Adar into Shelob's pen, as it were, but I'm not sure that that's how. Like, I still think it's early to kill that character off. Like, I think it's like end of the season, maybe season 3 thing that happens, and it will probably happen in a confrontation with another major character rather than a small, or you know what I'm saying?
But maybe,
but I do think the idea of
someone else instead. That would still be a good idea.
The idea of throwing him in there is very plausible.
The reason why is it just shows at the beginning of their collaboration that they would have a Costiers. Like the first thing was just Sauron, just saying Shelob can go with this. Now be like, that would actually be an interesting way. But here's another thing: what happens if their first interaction they actually fight? Maybe Sauron and
I had a thought just a minute ago. I think that would be actually a cool what's the word? Call back. Yes, thank you. Call back to Morgoth and the Ungoliant. Imagine that scene. Like he's coming into Mordor. and he gets to be saved or like helped by his orcs, though it doesn't make sense because apparently he's not in charge of the orcs now, but still maybe something like that could happen. That would be a cool callback to Silmarillion.
Oh yeah, that is actually would be an interesting callback.
And then then maybe we see her go to this specific part of the mountains where she creates her lair. Perhaps that's where she flees.
Yeah. The location of the lair, I think somebody figured it out. It's not the same place as the Tower of Ostereth was, right?
Where was Ostereth again? It was was it like south?
Yeah.
It was like south.
Southwest.
Yeah,
is the tower, and this is like
that, but it's not.
Much more to the north.
Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to mention around if it is going to be Sauron and Shelob is maybe Sauron goes to her first for maybe say they don't fight to the start, maybe it's for support, because all the orcs are loving and under the banner of Adar right now. They all love him at the end of season 1, and maybe he needs allies because he's literally just a guy in a robe in the middle of
he's a Maiar, so
yeah, he is a Maiar, but he's like
that helps.
That does help, but of course,
but yeah,
Shelob is still she's got the spawn of a Golian. It would maybe be nice to have an ally there potentially, and that's what would maybe help in him. Of course, Adar, as Matt says, not long for the world. Maybe might end up helping in, or at least be an ally and make sure he consolidates power in Mordor. That could be another way I could see it working.
Yeah, I think we need to see Sauron as a schemer. So I think it would be pretty cool actually, to have him use Shelob as a means to gaining or regaining the power with the orcs, and then maybe use the orcs to chase away Shelob. Like again, still playing on that callback to Morgoth and Ungoliant, something like that perhaps. But yeah, because we need to see him double cross people. Like he is the manipulator. There's only the goal, nothing else means anything to him. The goal justifies the means. So just using her to get them, and then using them to get rid of her. That would be like the gambit.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think there are. It out of it is actually one of the more interesting additions to see. I think so if they do it correctly, I think it can play off quite well. But of course, at the same time, I hope we don't get too much for it. And
it could be very pandering.
Just to reiterate though, but luckily, for good reason, we are hearing that it's not a lot. It's like it's not a central figure. It's not going to be on the posters. It might not even be in the trailer, but we know that she will appear. I think it's the best way to say it. Sheila will appear at some point during the Rings of Power. And it might be a small little thing. It might be like an interesting, cool callback. It might be something that even helps the plot. If for example, someone doesn't get fed to her, or maybe seeing a cast a web something around the person. That would be interesting. But
one of the things I hope they don't do is basically make it a mirror of what we saw in Return of the King. Kind of like
I agree. Yeah.
It'd be like kind of banking on that nostalgia. I want to see something different that fits with this time period that isn't just kind of derivative of Sam and Frodo's interactions with her.
I agree. Yeah.
I think ultimately for me, the best case scenario for me is just seeing the building blocks and the beginning of the potential collaboration Sauron has with with Shelob. So I think that is where it's where my headspan is at. Anybody else have any closing thoughts?
I think we covered quite a few potential ways this can go. So I think it's pretty.
Yeah, I agree.
It could make for it's like as we saw in Return of the King. It's kind of one of the horror aspects where we saw Peter Jackson flex those horror muscles from his earlier career. And like it could add some like really good you know,
we don't have horror directors this time around, though. Right?
That's true.
Because
Yeah, but
we had
she's,
last time.
She certainly lends herself to the horror genre.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
but
she
I'm
brings,
saying, like, season
brings-
one,
She should definitely
episodes
be
1 and
scary.
2.
Whatever the
Yeah.
interaction is, she should be frightening to
Yeah.
anyone, basically.
Because
Imagine
in
it's a
season
jump
1,
scare.
episode 2 had horror elements because Jay Bayona is a horror director. So this time around, we'll have to wait and see.
we'll see. Yeah.
All right, yeah, around their scenes for
It's so fun. I honestly could not remember what happened in episode 2. It's where, like, if you had to ask me to recall like 3 things happened in episode 2, I don't remember.
I watched it recently, or bits of it, so
yeah. But it's like, the orcs in the tunnels, the mystery of the
Oh, the
orcs before
tunnels,
they
there we
come,
go,
basically.
yes,
right.
That's the
Yeah.
And also
that's
the
one
fight with that orc in Bronwyn's
in the
place.
house. Yeah.
Is that the episode
Yeah.
of Ronda gets captured, or is that the next episode?
It is, yes.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
gets captured. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all kind of blend together at this point.
Yeah,
They
it's
do.
like-
A little bit.
And for me, it's like everything. Then it comes. One knows Galadriel goes west, then she's a Numenor, then Mount Doom eruption, and then Rings of Fortune. That's literally what I like.
Yeah,
remember,
that's
like,
the
as
basic
big
beats, yeah.
Like whatever happens, I still have like half it. So like, because it's interesting. I've still only seen them, but like episodes like 5, 6, 7, I've only seen once. So like. Since it's hard, but I think that's a discussion for the day, anyways. So Shelob in the Rings of Power. Let us know your thoughts. The comments below, Twitter as well.
And theories.
Theories as well. Theories are very important. So hope you guys enjoy this first episode. Hopefully we should be back next week with some more scoops. So first of all, thank you, Matt, for coming on for this return to the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No worries, all good. And Strider, again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, always. As I said, always a pleasure, and always cool to have guests. So Matt, hopefully you get back soon again.
Yes.
And the next few weeks are going to be very interesting. Looking forward to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And also bye to Strider's teddy bear as well. Bye to you on the show off. Yeah. And finally, last but not least. Good, thank you, Hen.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Always humble.
Yeah, he's always humble. Okay, of course, I guess watching, and until the next one, goodbye.